Wow, look at that. This is just absolutely fantastic.
With such an amazing coastline, it's no surprise that many of us fantasize about living in a wonderful home by the sea.
We've got salt water in our veins. Us Brits just love being by the sea. We're drawn to it, as if by instinct. And you can't help falling in love with the sights, the sounds, the smells. It's magical.
I'm architectural designer Charlie Luxton, and in this series I'll get a unique view of some of Britain's most fantastic coastal properties. I'll design fantasy houses in some incredible seaside locations.
I think this would be a pretty amazing place to build a fantasy house.
And meet the people who've realised that ambition to have a home by the sea.
With the 5 windows, it just drags you outside.
What a space. That is bonkers.
This week I'm in Norfolk, finding out what it's like to live along this exciting coastline. Here properties rise majestically from the level landscape. Shining beacons have been transformed into dazzling homes. And fantastic views come from out of the blue.
Wow, look at that. That is fantastic. The beauty of this part of the Norfolk coast is that it is so varied. You've got mud flats, salt marshes, sandy beaches, quaint harbour towns, old-fashioned bucket and spade seaside resorts, all within just a few miles.
I've decided to start my journey by sailing into Blakeney, at the heart of this designated area of outstanding natural beauty. This part of the coastline is unique, and its dunes and marshes make it a nationally important haven for wildlife, including seals and rare birds. Carrying me ashore is Juno, a boat that's right at home in this beautiful landscape.
This flat-bottomed barge would have been a common sight in the 19th and 20th century, plying these waters. It's perfectly designed for the channels and rivers that this part of Norfolk is famous for.
But the very shifting sands that have created the habitat for wildlife have also silted up the estuary, leaving Blakeney's old harbour hundreds of metres from the open sea.
At the moment we've got neap, or very small tides, which means a boat the size of Juno can't make it up to the quay.
So I'll have to complete my journey on foot. This was once a bustling port, but today pleasure boats have replaced big trading ships in the harbour. And tourism is now the town's main industry. But it's Blakeney's architecture that I'm interested in exploring. Built to withstand freezing Arctic winds blowing off the North Sea, here homes have a very distinctive style.
So this area of Norfolk is predominantly chalk, mud and sand, and one of the few hard building materials you get is this stuff. It's flint. There's big seams of flint running through the chalk. And when you combine that with bricks from Holland just across the water, you get this kind of texture of flint and brick, and it's this way of building that defines the architecture around here.
It can be seen all around Blakeney's picturesque streets. And I've chosen a lovely example for the first property on my itinerary. This 17th century conversion. What makes this building stand out, though, is its amazing location, right in the centre of the harbour. Home to retired businessman Paul Keates and his wife Trisha, I can't wait to get a closer look.
Hello.
Hello.
You must be Paul and Trisha.
That's right.
You're very happy in your garden?
Very nice.
Let's the door around this way.
Yeah, please, come on.
I'll come round. Tell me about this house. I'm absolutely fascinated. What's its history? What was it?
It used to be a warehouse because this harbour here used to have the large ships that came in 150 years ago. And where we're actually in now was the granary, which they stored grain. So it's got quite a history.
Because they are very unusual, aren't they? I mean, they look industrial.
Yes.
This home was last used as a warehouse in the 1920s, but its commercial heritage is still visible. The bricked-up arch underneath the picture window would have been for loading ship's cargo. The overhanging bay window is a recent addition, but would have been common on buildings of this type. Its traditional style and standout location are exactly what attracted Paul and Trish to retire here from leafy Ascot.
Why here? What drew you to Norfolk?
We were up for a funeral, actually, a relative funeral, and they were putting a sailboard on here.
Trish said, we ought to buy that house. I've always loved that house. I said, you must be joking. We never even considered retiring to Norfolk.
Is that normally how you make decisions?
No.
Was that like a one-off, was it?
I think if you know it's right, if your gut feeling tells you. And what have we got to lose?
Well, shall we have a look around the house?
Yes, please do.
Lead on, lead on.
Okay.
Paul and Trisha's house is a great example of how an old industrial space can be converted into a modern home. At just 36 foot wide, it's quite a narrow building, but it stretches back over 70 foot, creating room for 3 bedrooms, a spacious kitchen, and the magnificent lounge overlooking the harbour.
That could suck me in, that view. That is incredible.
Well, that sells the house, of course.
And while the decor is predominantly 20th century, there are design elements such as the original exposed oak beams that hint at this home's true age. The lighting in the hallway is another nod to its industrial heritage.
Tell me about these.
Well, I'm a photographer now, so these are all my photographs. So the photograph there shows you how the sunsets are.
That's here?
That's out the front here, because the sun sets out of the front. East coast and the sun sets right
Exactly,
outside the window.
we're sort of right around on the turn of the...
Yes. So, yeah, I know, it takes a lot of working out.
Okay, yeah.
One of the only rooms you don't get those stunning views is in the basement.
So is this where the magic happens?
This is my studio down here.
On the inside of the bricked-up arch.
So this would have been the kind of the original sort of warehouse sort of storage areas?
Yeah, this was a bedroom when we took it over with 5 single beds in here.
And where once wooden double doors would have opened out to waiting boats, now it's winter coats.
So rather than having big wardrobes upstairs, we've just sort of done this, so we've actually now got walk-in wardrobes, which has made life really, really easy. Yeah. So we just swap over from season to season.
But everyone needs
Yes, there's a walk-in
cellar, sort of basement studio, don't they?
This is a building that's truly evolved over time, much like Blakeney Village itself. It's hard to imagine that this would have been a bustling port and that tall ships were able to sail right up to the door.
It's extraordinary to think that that would have been open ocean out there.
sea. Yeah.
Gives you a kind of a really interesting perspective about how the coastline is changing.
And while the sea may have retreated a mile further north, the lookout certainly still enjoys some fabulous views. And even on a cloudy afternoon, there's no better place to enjoy the scenery of the salt marshes than from the elevated, flint-walled garden.
Looking at that view, I think this is the perfect spot for a house.
We can sit here all day, and I actually prefer the evening time, because when there's a high tide in the water here and the sun setting over there, from a photographer's point of view, the reflections in the water of the sky, we get pink sky. Oh, it's just stunning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very lucky.
I get it. I love that room. I love that view. I love this view. I think it's a really stunning place to live. It's a beautiful house.
Very lucky.
Very lucky.
For my next property, I've headed east from Blakeney around the coast to the ancient fishing village of Winterton-on-Sea. Just 8 miles north of busy Great Yarmouth, this quiet spot is a world away from its bustling neighbour. Thatched cottages reinforce the tranquil feeling. But there's one building here that hints at a stormier past. This magnificent 17th century lighthouse. Towering over the dunes, this imposing property is the weekend retreat of London-based architect Sally McKerrath and her family.
So Sally, why did you end up here in Norfolk?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really know Norfolk. And yet, when I found this, suddenly Norfolk, I found out all sorts of things about Norfolk that I didn't know. Norfolk's all about picnics and big skies and spending lots of time outside. And there's something about this stretch of the coast that feels like time stood still. The minute I arrived here, I sensed there was something unusual.
But it wasn't all about location. Sally was looking for a renovation project to inspire her.
I was interested in actually not building something modern and new, fun enough. I wanted something which had character and volume. This building is a very functional building. It has things about it, qualities about it, that it's really magical. It really triggers something about the history of why it was built the way that it was built.
Should we go and have a look at it? I can't wait to see it.
With the sun setting in the distance, this iconic coastal building looks majestic, perched high overlooking the dunes and out to the North Sea beyond. And later I get a very different perspective of this wonderful coastline from the very top of the tower.
Wow. Wow.
So here it is.
Oh, look.
And I visit a seafront property in Sheringham that really stands out from the crowd.
It's almost like a kind of beach hut on steroids, isn't it? It's like, it's amazing that you can own a house in that place.
I'm journeying along the Norfolk coast, visiting some magnificent seaside homes. It's a part of Britain famous for being flat, but I found the houses here anything but featureless. After arriving in the picturesque village of Blakeney, I've travelled 40 miles to Winterton-on-Sea to stay in a lighthouse that's become a unique home. The lighthouse dates back to 1687, and its beacon guided mariners safely along this stretch of the Norfolk coast for centuries. It was in use until 1921, when it became a private residence, and I've arrived in time to bed down for the night.
So this is when you know you're in a lighthouse. Well, the big sign tells you for a start, but you sort of, this is amazing. Look at these wonderful it's very sort of industrial, isn't it?
The tower is just 15 foot in diameter, but it's a charming space. I love the references to its history, and the curved walls and spiral stairs make its former use unmistakable. But it was a very different story when Sally and husband Julian bought it 9 years ago.
It didn't feel at all like a lighthouse, it was just
Even though it was circular?
Yeah, but I do remember walking in and immediately seeing that
Beautiful stairs.
cantilevered stair. And then the lightning conductor comes down and earths the handrail because...
And you saw that, you could see that
Yeah,
even when you first came
I could see it. The handrail itself, I think, was, again, painted a colour and there's carpet on the stairs and everything. But and I think there was wallpaper on the ceilings, actually. I mean, it just... It didn't look like this at all, but I could see, as I said, the bones of it were there. There was something very exciting about it.
The lighthouse has undergone a sensational transformation. In addition to renovating the main tower, Sally's added a contemporary extension, clad in cedar with large folding doors out to a landscaped garden. This greying wooden box contrasts with the gleaming white tower and houses a stunning kitchen complete with curved worktops and a view to the dome above. There's also space for a dining table and lounge area, ideal for family time with her 2 children. But inevitably, it's the original lighthouse I'm keen to explore.
So did you get fit living in a lighthouse?
Absolutely. I mean, if you forget something at the top, it's a long way down.
A lot of steps.
73, in fact. The 70-foot tower has been divided into 4 floors. On the first floor is the children's bedroom with inbuilt cabin bunks and a beautiful window seat. Every detail celebrates the nautical theme and embraces the curves of the building. On the second floor, there's the master bedroom.
I love this kind of grey column that runs right through the middle of the house.
Yeah, we put that in. Obviously, there's an issue with when you've got people sleeping all in the tower. Absolutely.
Yes.
If one of you needs the loo in the night, then...
Come right past here.
Well, the whole point was to somehow find a way to separate each room.
Sally's solution to this privacy problem is ingenious as well as stylish.
So there's basically 2 sliding leaves. So this draws across.
Oh, that's
and then
nice.
the second one draws across.
Oh, that's nice.
Cocoons you.
The clean lines and crisp white colour scheme give the lighthouse a surprising sense of space. But in the library on the 3rd floor, Sally has opted for a very different feel. The dark brown walls and shelving is in sharp contrast to the rest of the house. The result is successful and intriguing.
Each floor is a contrast then. As you pass up the stairs, you get a sense of and another strange room and another thing. And I think that's the sort of journey to the top. Obviously the top's the penultimate moment.
The top. Come on then, show me the top.
Come on, let's do it.
When Sally brought the lighthouse, the top of the tower was just an old concrete lookout post left over from World War I. But she wanted to create a space worthy of this magnificent building and make the most of the fabulous views, and so commissioned this beautiful dome.
Wow. Wow.
So here it is,
Oh, look.
the lantern room. It's a pretty amazing view, isn't it?
Isn't that amazing? And because it's so low and the dunes, it's almost like ruler straight here, isn't it? The coast.
Yeah, and it's really lovely. You can see the waves breaking. I mean, it's quite calm today, but I mean, there's nothing better than an electric storm up here.
I mean, it's incredible. It's beautiful.
We've had parties up here, would you believe? I mean, there's a limit to how many people you can have up
Pretty
here.
close party.
Party. New Year's Eve, they have fireworks. Actually, being up here by yourself is very nice. We've got a telescope.
There's something wonderful about seeing those big ships on the horizon, isn't there? I've been seeing them over the last couple of days, just drifting past.
That, and actually at night when it's inky black and the only lights really are from the fishermen. Here we are all, snug and tucked up in bed, and those guys are out there fishing. I mean, incredible.
Once again, Sally's used nautical features as key points in the design, so you are surrounded with reminders of the building's history. And there's one final treat in store.
Where does this go?
That
Have a look.
actually It's where you're sleeping tonight.
Up here?
Up there. Under the dome.
Right. Oh, wow. That is phenomenal. I love the way the glass continues right around, so you get a full 360-degree view. That is fantastic. I can't wait. Can't wait to get to bed.
It really is a unique space. And as I cooler tonight and the darkness draws in around me, it's like no other place I've ever laid my head. The next morning I wake to the sound of the sea and those magnificent views.
Well, that is one of the most extraordinary night's sleeps I've ever had, because just after I went to bed, a massive storm came through. The rain was lashing against the windows and it was really elemental, but I was in a lovely comfy bed with a big thick duvet and it was fantastic.
As amazing as the views are up here though, it's a long way down to breakfast with Sally and her family.
It was an extraordinary night's sleep because there was some heavy rain, there was a lot of wind, but you felt incredibly safe, and a nice duvet, and I had the windows open so it was like a breeze across me, but it was so lovely and warm.
Did you see any fishermen? Actually, did you see any lights?
I saw a few lights bobbing along, and this morning, like when I woke up, and to look out and be sort of higher than the church tower was really nice.
For me, that's one of the things I love, is that even when the rain's like lashing against the tower, but you're in a sort of, you know, metre thick kind of walls, and you just feel so safe and so, I suppose, sort of cocooned in this, you know, fantastic old
huge
structure.
Skin of brick and stone.
It's certainly a magical place, but it's also very much the family retreat Sally and husband Julian wanted to create.
We had one of those parent-teacher meetings, and they said, Oscar has such a wonderful imagination. He keeps talking about this, that he lives in a lighthouse. And we said, well, yeah, he technically, I guess he does, because we have a holiday home that's a lighthouse. And the teacher's face was sort of fell.
Oops. But I mean, I have to thank you so much for letting me stay, because I will never forget that night. You know, last night it was amazing, it was really special. So I really appreciate that.
On my trip around Norfolk, I've seen two fantastic but very different conversions. Both are proof that it's possible to be very creative when transforming a building into a coastal home. But there are some great off-the-peg properties on the market. Like this former Coast Guard lookout station near the seaside town of Hunstanton, which has stunning views looking west over the Wash. Built in 1906, the commanding red brick building played an active role during both World Wars, and it was even given a royal seal of approval in 1943. Now a two-bedroom home, it won't cost a king's ransom to buy at just £220,000. Not every property for sale in Norfolk has so much history attached. Amidst the traditional flint cottages in Cley lies this most modern of homes. As well as acres of glass, this 5-bedroom property also has a roof terrace and a balcony to enjoy uninterrupted views across the salt marshes. However, the price tag might leave you a little dry in the mouth at £1,375,000. But when it comes to a seaside location, you'll be hard-pushed to beat this next property.
Hey!
A beach hut on the sands at Wells next to the sea.
Come on, darling. Here we come. First things first, cup of tea.
Poet Trudy Howson is selling the petite but oh-so-pretty palace after 20 blissful years.
changes every day, every hour. The sea, it's so beautiful. Always something going on. Boats, horses, dog walkers. And the sky's very grey today, but sometimes it's so blue it makes your eye ache.
The beach hut is for sale at £70,000, which seems a lot for somewhere you're not allowed to sleep the night. But such is its appeal, you could rent it out for £250 a week in summer.
Here on the beach, there's a big community of beach hut owners, and over the 20 years I've had this beach hut, I've seen families grow up, bring their children bring their children, and we all know each other, and we all say, oh, do you fancy a drink, or do you want to stand in for rounders, and we hang out together. It's the best Wendy house ever on the quietest part of the beach.
The beach hut has also inspired many of Trudy's poems.
A safe haven. It's heaven on stilts.
Trudy's selling up to buy somewhere closer to London. And so this heaven on stilts will soon be somebody else's inspiration.
You're not just buying a beach hut, you're buying a lifestyle. It certainly added a lot to my life, and whoever buys this beach hut in this location is a very lucky person.
On the next leg of my journey around Norfolk, I'm heading to the Victorian seaside town of Sheringham, where amongst the colourful beach huts, there is an amazing property that was once a very public convenience.
Well, this is one of the finest ladies' toilets I've ever been in.
And the local landmark that's fulfilled one man's childhood dream.
It's just a complete joy. You can look at it, it makes you smile.
I'm in Norfolk, discovering a beautiful part of Britain's coastline. Exploring the area's architecture and discovering what attracts people to this part of the world.
From Cromer, Hunstanton, Great Yarmouth to here in Sheringham, this part of Norfolk has its fair share of classic British seaside resorts that have been attracting holiday makers and day trippers since the Victorian period.
Just 9 miles down the coast from Blakeney, Sheringham is a real family resort with a beautiful beach and bucket loads of charm. And as you'd expect from an old Norfolk fishing port, it has its fair share of traditional flint-clad cottages. But along the seafront, there's one building that really stands out from the crowd. Towering above the neighbouring beach hut sits this very quirky home. Intrigued to find out more, I'm braving the North Sea breeze to meet builder and owner Nick Willan and his wife Susan.
I mean, it's the most bonkers place for a house, isn't it? You kind of think, you can't have a house there, that's crazy.
Oh, but you've got those zoos, haven't you?
The way it sits here, kind of among these little beach huts, it's almost like a kind of beach hut on steroids, isn't it? It's like, it's amazing that you can own a house in that place, you know, it's kind of a really extraordinary location.
When Nick first saw the site was for sale, its former use also raised a few eyebrows.
They were the former WCs, built in 1897, I believe.
What did you think when you found out that you were going to be buying some public toilets?
That he was completely mad, really, I think, because it wasn't a very attractive building at the time. Nick always tells me to squint my eyes and imagine, but at the point of time I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, I'm now squinting and looking at some old loos. It's not helping, Nick.
It's a good anniversary present for it, though, wasn't it?
Undeterred, Nick bought the toilet at auction for £104,000 and set about transforming it into a truly unique holiday home. Rising majestically above the shoreline, it's hard to believe this modern house came from such humble beginnings. The crisp cream render, slate roof and wraparound balcony all add up to a striking design.
Well, should we go have a look inside?
Sure.
I'm intrigued to know how you fit it all in.
At just 6 by 4 metres, it's amazing what they've squeezed into this compact house. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an open-plan living space. Simply but stylishly executed.
Well, this is one of the finest ladies' toilets I've ever been in. So downstairs was what?
The gents.
Downstairs the gents, and we're now standing in
the ladies.
I hadn't seen it. I'd only seen it externally, I hadn't been in it. But after the auction, we came down and looked in it. And that was quite
Did your heart sink?
Shock. Yeah.
Have you got a lot of experience with property? Because to see a derelict toilet block and to understand what it could be takes a lot of belief, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like quirky jobs, and I like the artistic side, which you know you can do something with, something really unique. Being a builder now for 40 years, I've had a lot thrown at me and we've turned things around. Everything can be done.
Nick realised that if he could get planning permission to raise the height of the building by a metre, he could squeeze in a third floor. And by using a spiral staircase, he's really maximised the space. The couple have spent £85,000 transforming the home, and it's been a hard slog. With hundreds of steps, no road access, and a restriction on working during the summer, it tested Nick to the limit.
You were actually here doing a lot of this yourself?
Yeah, in the winter months, yeah. That's the only time we can work here.
Hand lifting, up and down.
Yeah. Bob hat, gloves. Yeah.
Labour of love.
I don't know about love, but it's a labour.
Nick's hard work has certainly paid off. For me, this house is a great example of seeing the potential of a disused building and having the vision to transform it into something remarkable. One thing you can't fail to notice along the Norfolk coast are the wind turbines offshore. They're not without their critics, but personally I love how they sit along the horizon. Wind power is nothing new around here. They've been doing it for centuries. At Clyde, there's a famous windmill. It's owned by GP Julian Godley and his wife Carolyn. They'd been holidaying in the area for years when in 2006 windmill enthusiast Julian was presented an opportunity he couldn't resist.
My dad mentioned to me this famous, iconic windmill was for sale, and he expected me, I think, just to get the brochure and sort of say how interesting. But I did, I was really thought I could make a go of it. I think we have. We've held on to it now for 8 years, and it seems to be going from strength to strength. And it's just a complete joy. You can look at it, it makes you smile.
The sails finally stopped turning here in 1912 after being used as a flour mill for a century. It's now run as a bed and breakfast, but all the profits are used to maintain the building.
I dream sometimes of a sort of lovely square hotel modern block that needs no maintenance. This needs constant love and attention.
Today, Julian and some local tradesmen are carrying out essential maintenance on the building's most iconic features.
You've taken the brake off?
Yes, brake's all off.
So we're going to pull them around.
Ready to go.
Cool. Okay.
It's heavy work, but regularly turning the sails will hopefully stop water pooling in the wood.
Heave ho. Easy.
And extend their lifespan.
Well done.
It really is a labour of love. Built around 1812, it's everything you imagine a windmill to be. A picture-perfect reminder of a time gone by. Inside, though, it's a different story. The 10 rooms are full of modern comforts.
They've all got just different personalities, and this one is River Room, and I love this one particularly because it's got fabulous views over the reeds and the sea over there and the sunsets over there, so it's just magic. And then here's the jetty, which we restored, and it's a bit overgrown with reeds at the minute, but that leads onto our boat, which we can then sail out at high tide to Blakeney Point.
Julian's passion for the building really shines through, and I love the way he celebrates its history, even in the quirkiest of places, such as the loo.
What we've got here is the previous miller's, Sister Rachel, who bought the windmill for £350. in 1920-ish. And then she gave the windmill to her nephew, Hubert Blunt, who in turn gave it to his son, Charlie Blunt, whose son is the singer James Blunt, and we bought it in 2006.
James Blunt may not be here to serenade you, but there's still plenty of romance. The windmill hosts around 80 weddings a year, with ceremonies taking place in this lovely old granary. Just occasionally, though, Julian gets his beloved building all to himself.
About twice a year we take the windmill as like an old-fashioned house party, so it's magic. So we have our group of friends, drinking, eating, just really very special time.
The windmill at Cley is clearly a much-loved landmark on this fascinating stretch of coast. On the next leg of my Norfolk journey, I'll design a fantasy home that sits perfectly amongst the salt marshes.
That would just have the most amazing views out towards the sea.
And I get a taste of life in a truly remote location.
I can just imagine being out here in a force 9 gale, cup of tea, wind whistling around you, just sort of, oh, everything's right with the world.
I'm on the final part of my journey around the Norfolk coast. So far, I've seen some really diverse buildings, all wedded to the area's coastline. From the former grain store in Blakeney to the majestic lighthouse in Winterton. They've all helped spark ideas about the perfect home I'd love to build here if I could. And here in the grounds of Wiverton Hall, just a few miles from Blakeney, I think I've found the ideal plot for my imaginary house.
I've been here a few days now and I'm starting to get a sense of this really unique and very special landscape. Just this incredible sort of flatness. I think if I was to design a building for this location, I really like the idea of trying to slip something in behind these kind of hills where this land falls away to meet the flatness of the marsh. And clearly, in this part of Norfolk, the flint and the brick is absolutely critical.
So I'd build my home tucked into the bank to keep it low profile, and the retaining walls would be clad in flint and brick to mirror the local vernacular style.
It would sit sort of lower than the hill line, so it's kind of an architecture, if you like, a bit of deception.
I'd want floor-to-ceiling windows to enjoy those long views, and these would be framed by chunky raw wood.
Looking at this architecture of kind of massive timbers that you get on the jetties and the pontoons and the wharfs. To kind of finish off the idea, I was thinking that you could have a rather beautiful corrugated tin shed and stick that on the top and paint it a lovely colour, and that would be your kind of master bedroom. So you would come up and have this single bedroom suite on this kind of lifted bit of marshland. That would just have the most amazing views out towards the sea, and actually, bizarrely, looking out towards the sunset on the east coast. Kind of sums up what a strange place this is, that you're on the east coast and you get a sunset. But there we go. That's what makes it so special.
My fantasy home is just that. Although I've taken my inspiration from properties I've seen on my journey around Norfolk. And there's one in particular that floated my design boat. Although it's not a home in the strictest sense.
I'm on my way to the old lifeboat station on Blakeney Point, and it's a really distinctive building. You can see it there, it's just this blue speck on the horizon. And I've been seeing it from all up and down this coast over the last couple of days. I've been desperate to go and have a look. And actually it's been a real inspiration for that sketch of a house idea, just this beautiful shape in the distance. And now I'm going to get up close, I'm going to have a look around.
Blakeney Point is a 4-mile sand and shingle spit that stretches into the North Sea. It It's a remote area that's inhabited by all sorts of wonderful wildlife, including seals and rare seabirds. They're not the only ones to call this beautiful nature reserve home. National Trust Ranger Ajay Tagali lives and works on the point.
So what are you doing today?
Today we're getting in this fence line. It was put up to protect a breeding oyster catcher, and she's now fledged 2 chicks and they've moved on, so we can get the fence down.
So is that a lot of what you do? Because you live out here, how much of the year?
6 months of the year out here.
6 months?
Mm-hmm. For over 100 years there's been somebody out here protecting the birds, and so making sure that no eggs are stolen and they're not disturbed, and then keeping an eye on them, counting the number of pairs we've got and following their progress throughout the breeding season.
What's the rarest thing you've seen?
One of the most special rare birds I've seen, I suppose, is the blue throat, which is a very beautiful bird.
Let me guess, it's got a blue bit here?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm all over this bird watching thing. Yeah, it's easy. Well, listen, the reason I'm here is because I want to see that, because that is a stunning piece of architecture. And that's where you live?
That's where I live for the summer.
That's nice. Can you show me around?
Absolutely.
Brilliant,
Sure.
let's go.
This eye-catching blue building was built as a lifeboat station in 1898. Although up until 30 years ago, it was a rather more drab battleship grey. But what I love about it isn't the striking colour, but that its design was born out of function. And although it hasn't been used by the RNLI for almost a century, its characterful boat doors and ramp remain. Today it's a visitor centre and home to Ajay and his 2 colleagues.
So is this where the lifeboat would have been kept?
Yeah, this is where it would have been kept, yes.
And then it would have been towed down this ramp and all the way out to the sea?
That's right, a long way.
A very long way. I mean, I read somewhere it took like 60 men or something to launch it.
Yeah, because the point was ever growing and more shingle was deposited, and so it became further and further away.
And eventually they went, this is a rubbish lifeboat station. Sure. Let's do something else with it. Sure. So when did the National Trust start using it?
Well, they acquired Blakeney Point in 1912, and they had a watcher back then, Bob Pinchin, who lived in a boat moored in the creek. And then when the lifeboat house closed in the 1920s, it was renovated and he moved in here. His wife kept a cafe and sold teas here, and him and his family lived in the house here.
One of the very early National Trust cafes.
Yeah, indeed.
The centre welcomes 160,000 visitors a year, but I'm keen to see beyond the public spaces.
Aha, so this is the kind of the private, the secret bit behind the door.
Indeed, yes.
At the heart of the living quarters is this big kitchen dining room, with its wood-burning stove and breathtaking views back to Blakeney. On a day like today, it's beautiful, but there's a clear reminder of how exposed to the elements it can be.
So is this the line of the flood last December it was, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, this is where the water reached.
Did it do a lot of damage?
Yeah, it did a lot of damage. Washed away the boardwalk, outside, and made a lot of a mess inside the house.
It must have left a bit of a mess. And it washed the ramp away?
Yeah, it pushed the ramp up out of the ground. The force of the water pushed it up and sort of into the building.
In the living room come office, the wood panelling continues, and it's awash with original features. There are even the old gas lights, although the house now has electricity thanks to solar panels.
What's it like when you're in the middle of a force 9 gale in here?
Oh, you can hear it. Yeah, it whistles through the walls, and it's quite atmospheric.
Is it
and
chilly?
A bit chilly. Yeah, it is a bit chilly. Yeah.
It's quite a leaky building.
Yeah, it has a few gaps here and there, but that's part of the charm of its character.
Oh, it must be fantastic to be out here, stove on, cup of tea, wind whistling around you, just sort of, everything's right with the world.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Upstairs, it's very much about simple living.
There is something incredibly nautical about this, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
It sort of feels like a beached boat on the sand.
But the real gem is the watchtower. Built during World War II as a lookout for enemy ships, it has a 360-degree view across the spit.
Wow, look at that. That is fantastic.
It is absolutely awe-inspiring. And when you get up here, you get a real sense of just how isolated Ajay and his colleagues are.
So there's 3 of you here for 6 months of the year. It is quite monastic, isn't it? It is quite a sort of stripped, simple kind of life.
Yeah, I suppose you're living with nature 24/7 pretty much, yeah. Constantly surrounded by it and watching it change.
Do you think you want to do it for a long time?
Yeah, I think I would, absolutely.
Get old in a place like this?
Yeah.
Be all right, wouldn't it?
As long as you can still get up that ladder, I suppose. Yeah.
You're all right. You might need a lift.
I can certainly see why Ajay is so captivated by the point. But with the tide on its way out, it's time to say goodbye. Sadly, that brings my Norfolk journey to a close. It's been a fantastic few days. I've visited some very special homes by the sea and had my eyes open to what this coastline is really all about.
I think I used to have a fairly sort of stereotypical attitude about Norfolk. There's the Broads and the Fens, and it's pretty flat and dull. But this part of the coast is anything but that. It's a really dynamic landscape that's constantly changing with massive skies, beautiful big views, wonderful architecture, great quality of life. This is a fantastic part of our coastline.
Next time I'm heading north to the romantic Scottish Isle of Skye, where bold architecture stirs up centuries of tradition. Cool cottages capture the heart, and glass palaces frame perfect panoramas.
That is a fantastic view. I mean, that is awesome.